Hello everybody and welcome to my 2020 Game of the Year list in January 2021. The reason for the slight delay is that the end of 2020 was stacked with so many games that I didn't have time to play them all, and I still haven't been able to. But with the delay I managed to squeeze in a couple more and can finally complete my list. With that in mind, join me as we explore the 10 best games of 2020. So let's get into it. I know some of you will be saying that Astros Playroom isn't a game, it's a tech demo. Whether the technicalities label the game this or that is irrelevant. What is relevant is how fun this is, and let me tell you right now, it is very fun. The first thing I played on my PS5 and it was the perfect introduction. Only those who've played it know what I'm talking about, so whenever you can, you have to play this just to feel the capabilities of the new DualSense controller. It truly blew me away. And that's not even mentioning the top tier platforming as well, or the inspired level design, or the overall cheery vibe on display throughout your entire journey through the game. If you can somehow get your hands on the PS5, Astros Playroom is a must play. Look, whether you like it or not, there's simply no denying the impact Fall Guys had on the world this year. In a world plagued by a pandemic and plenty of social issues, Fall Guys, for just a couple months at least, made the world revolve around some beans jumping and falling through Takeshi's Castle style minigames in the ultimate quest to win it all. Whether you consider the game objectively good is definitely questionable, but you can't deny that it was a load of fun, and that's why it makes my list. Hang on, yes, The Last of Us Part 2 is here. I'm going to set the record straight first. I don't think The Last of Us 2 is a 10 out of 10 generation defining masterpiece because I think that would be silly. But it's also not a 2 out of 10 disaster, which would also be very silly. It's a 7 to 8 area game and I enjoyed it. Whether you like it or not, you can't deny the ambition shown from Naughty Dog in making this game. Well, maybe you can, I don't know. I can't say too much because spoilers, but yes, the story isn't anywhere close to the first game. It definitely has its moments and I completely understood the message they were trying to go for, but it does fall short when compared to its predecessor. The gameplay is a major improvement though. You feel the same desperation that Ellie feels during combat, and the combat arenas are much more complex, with more options in terms of verticality and stealth becoming a more viable option. And let's not forget that this game is technically amazing and looks incredible. The Last of Us 2 isn't the game I wanted, or that many others wanted, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. I loved the Mafia 1 remake so much, primarily for the story, but it ultimately left me wanting more. I go into much more detail about this in my video Mafia Definitive Edition, Mr. Glorious Opportunity, but basically the potential was there for this story to be truly exceptional. The pillars are all there, brilliant narrative arcs, fantastic characters and relationship dynamics, emotional plot points, but none of it goes in as much depth as it could and should have done. This isn't a remaster. It's a remake, and Hangar 13 should have used this opportunity to catapult this game into gaming royalty. But they didn't. Whether this is due to time restrictions or anything, I do not know. But still, I would have preferred it if there was more here. Regardless, it's a brilliant, short experience, but I still feel as though it could have been better. It's a brilliant game, and it is well deserving of being in this list, because they did do enough to turn a great story from an old game into a great story from a modern game. I absolutely love Final Fantasy. I'm not an OG hardcore fan, but whenever I have played a Final Fantasy, I've loved them, and that didn't change with 7 Remake. This game helped me get through quarantine as I lost myself in Midgar. I fell in love with the characters, I wanted to know more about them, and I wanted to know more about the world as a whole. I played this game before playing the original, which I played shortly after, and can confirm this game is brilliant if you haven't played the original first. But for fans of the original, there is definitely enough new things here to make the game worthwhile. Engaging, thought-provoking combat, world-class boss design, a little bit of bloating and a lot of beautiful character dynamics mean that Final Fantasy VII Remake gets a spot on this list. This is the Assassin's Creed game we've always wanted. I got myself the Platinum Trophy of Ghost of Tsushima and can safely say I had a blast with it. The story didn't immediately grab me, but around the halfway mark I was in, and was fully entrapped within the narrative. The world itself is also beautiful and has a much more natural way of directing you towards your objectives and side content than most other open games worlds have managed to do. As you explore, the maps become unblurred and question marks appear. What's there? Who knows? You'll have to go and see. The real star of the show here though is the combat. It's so satisfying to slash your enemies, and the inclusion of being able to switch your stance on the fly keeps you on your toes throughout and ensures that you have many more combat abilities than you otherwise would. A really awesome game that I loved playing this year, and let's not forget about the free multiplayer mode they added, which I haven't played but I've heard only good things about. Doom Eternal will be many players' game of the year, and I cannot argue with them. As far as FPS games go, they simply don't get any better than this. Apart from maybe Doom 2016, which depends on which game you prefer out of the two. In terms of combat as a whole, Doom Eternal challenges Sekiro for me in terms of the peak of video game combat that I have experienced. Your arsenal of weaponry provides you with all the tools necessary to cause havoc, but each weapon is a direct counter for specific enemies, meaning you're constantly switching between your guns and equipment as you work your way through the battle arenas. This game keeps moving at a faster pace and means that the action never stops. Personally, I'd have wanted a deeper story, but I do recognise that that isn't why people play Doom. They play Doom for the smooth gunplay and the over-the-top action, and this game has that in bucket loads. At the start of the year, I really didn't think it would be possible for anything other than Cyberpunk to be my game of the year, but alas, here we are. Is Cyberpunk 2077 disappointing? Yeah. It's still an amazing game, but when playing, you can't help but feel it could have been better, and would definitely have been better if the devs were allowed the time they wanted to realise their vision. The characters are fantastic, some of the side content is fantastically written, other side content is generic and Ubisofty. The story ultimately disappointed me aside from the end of each act. The gameplay and combat is outstanding though. You do have enough tools at your disposal to keep combat refreshing, and you're encouraged to switch things up in order to unlock more perk points. The world though, Night City itself is both the game's biggest strength and weakness. It looks beautiful, it's jaw-droppingly gorgeous and clearly has had a lot of thought put into designing it. It looks alive, but ultimately it doesn't feel alive. You can't do anything other than missions. No hobbies, no barbers, nothing. It's just drive around and do missions. Cyberpunk is easily one of the best games of the year, and anybody who says otherwise probably needs to take off their anti-CDPR glasses and appreciate it for what it is. Is it as good as we thought it would be? No, but it is still a great game. I have been complimenting this game ever since it came out, and with good reason. For a start, it's jaw-droppingly beautiful. The colours burst through the environments and the art style is superb. There's a feeling of spectacle throughout the whole thing, and you're constantly in awe at the world and the set pieces that occur through your journey through this beautiful game. The level design is also top tier, with the traversal abilities playing a huge part in how the puzzle sections manage to reach their full potential. The boss fights are legendary, and provided me with some of my most memorable moments of the year. This game is one of the games that I had just so much fun with, and I simply cannot recommend it enough. Now it's time for some honourable mentions. These are just games that I'm sure are amazing and deserving of making the list, but that I simply didn't get around to playing this year. A lot of games came out towards the end of the year, and I unfortunately didn't get a chance to play them all, so here goes. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Definitely on my list, and I know I'll love it. Immortals Phoenix Rising. I'm hearing nothing but good things about this game, and as someone who has never been able to own Breath of the Wild, I look forward to playing a game like it. Hades. I really hope this game comes to PS5 someday, because from the sounds of it, it's deserving of all the praise it's getting. Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. I am a massive fan of the Yakuza series, but I am trying to play through all the numbered entries first. I'm currently on Yakuza 3, so when I get there, I will play 7 and probably love it. Finally, Demon's Souls Remake. Sekiro is one of my favourite games ever, so I'd love to get a peek into where it all began with Demon's Souls. Very much looking forward to trying this in 2021. But now, let's move on to my 2020 Game of the Year. There are two types of people watching this video right now. Those who haven't played Spiritfarer and are asking what the hell is Spiritfarer, and those that have played Spiritfarer and are thinking, well yeah, that makes sense. Chances are you haven't played Spiritfarer, so this is my opportunity to tell you why you should. Imagine Stardew Valley, but it's on a boat, and you have to help lost spirits pass into the afterlife once you've helped them come to terms with accepting their death. You meet countless characters throughout your journey who ask you to complete various tasks to the point where their nagging becomes a minor annoyance. But eventually, they realise it's their time to go, and you take them to the Everdoor so they can pass. It's an incredibly moving replication of what occurs during everyday life. People come into our lives, they annoy us, they teach us things, in this case new game mechanics such as how to craft a new item, how to move to a new area of the map, and then they leave us as better, more rounded people. It's one of the best games I've ever played, and that's why it takes the crown as my #1 game of the year for 2020. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I hope I didn't anger you too much with my choices. Please let me know in the comments what your game of the year this is for 2020, as I'd love to see and compare them and see if there's anything that I missed this year. But for now, that's all from me. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider leaving a like, as it would be greatly appreciated, and if you want to see more content from me, then make sure to subscribe, as I upload videos every single Friday. Have a nice day, and goodbye.